What does being a male ally in the tech industry mean to you personally?
Being an ally for anyone in the tech industry means providing a platform for anyone who has the skills to contribute to the tech industry. It means working to minimize barriers that could potentially prevent amazing folks from contributing to the ever-evolving field of technology, regardless of their background.
For me, being a male ally means using the influence I've got to create the space. It's about recognising that equal environments don't happen by default, but they are built through intentional behaviours. Allyship for me is my commitment to amplify the underrepresented voices and challenge some of the biased systems that are in place today. And of course, it's to ensure that brilliant women in tech are seen, heard, and given the opportunity to lead.
To me, being a male ally isn't just about agreeing with the principles of diversity in the abstract. It implies actively disrupting the sameness that has defined our sector for too long. In my career, spanning over 20 years in cyber and tech, I have frequently found myself in rooms where the decision makers look exactly like me, thought like me, and came from backgrounds strikingly similar to mine. While that familiarity can be comfortable, I've come to realize that such an echo chamber is actually a vulnerability. It creates blind spots in our strategic thinking and limits our capacity for innovation.
For me personally, being a male ally is about appreciating that the challenges and opportunities, that I've had, these are not representative of everyone. We all have a very unique journey and unique challenges, and it's about being open to that and appreciating that. Whether these are good or bad, these are unique experiences. It's also about playing my part in helping create an environment, a work environment, which is not specifically prioritizing or designed for one group of people. We want environments, especially in the workplace, which are actually diverse, actually inclusive and accessible to everyone, because everyone has something to offer. There's so much that makes us unique as humans.
For me, it's not about being a hero or speaking for women. I think that was kind of the initial thinking, or maybe that is the initial thinking that most people have, is being a male ally is kind of talking for women, but it's not like that at all. For me, it's kind of using what influence I may have, whether that's my voice or my role, or my seat at the table or whatever it may be, to help make the space fairer and safer for everyone. I mean, for myself, being a leader, I really want to create a psychologically safe environment for everyone, and that having full awareness of everybody's voice and making sure it's heard is a vital part of that.
For me, allyship isn't a label or a one-off activity or action. It's ongoing work, and it's a leadership responsibility. It's not about speaking for women. It's about making sure women are heard, listening more than talking, and being willing to step in and act when something isn't right, even when that is uncomfortable or inconvenient. I won't always get it right, but I will try to learn, listen, and use my position to remove barriers where I see systems or behaviours that don't work fairly for everyone.
Can you share a moment or experience that has made the importance of allyship clear in your workplace or career?
There's many moments where unconscious bias kind of leads to dismissal of a valuable opinion. A consistent bias in work with a previous employee comes to mind. Two managers in particular would often fail to address female staff, instead opting to talk to the male staff and have them disseminate that information to the female staff. Obviously, that's clearly an overt bias and an unacceptable work ethic. So, needless to say, the team all had a quiet word with the manager. And initially, there was some pushback from management about this, but they eventually and quietly kind of changed and became more inclusive.
A few that really stick in my mind revolve around hiring in particular, and interviewing some people who'd been on quite a soul-destroying journey knocking on lots of doors, trying to get hired, and being refused, who are part of, groups that are often overlooked, particularly in tech, and, making sure that our interviewing and hiring process was set up to give everyone a chance and not just end up with the same old results that we had before. And in each one of those instances, those people ended up coming to work for us and were some of the best people I've ever worked with. And they said, they just needed that chance to show what they had and to show their passion and all the rest of it.
Allyship shows up when we validate our experiences rather than just sort of explain them away. And when we use our voices from these experiences to reinforce points that shouldn't have to be repeated. I've seen how exclusion often isn't sort of malice, it just seems to be a bit more habitual. I worked at a company where they marked International Women's Day with an all-male leadership panel. That says it all, really. The intent was positive, their meaning, the message less so. But by calling out these moments sort of thoughtfully, we can make it clear that allyship isn't rare or performative. It's a shared everyday responsibility.
There are many moments, but one that stands out is a recent project for creating digital self-help shorts for staff at CABC. While my face may appear on the videos, the success of these resources was only possible because of the trust placed in me by my female manager and the technical expertise of a female TEL colleague. I make a point to ensure that credit is given where it's due. These achievements are never a result of one person alone. Recognising and celebrating the contributions of others is, in my view, a fundamental part of allyship.
The first was early in my career. I witnessed a manager treating a female colleague appallingly, with some clear undertones of ethnic and religious bias. At the time, speaking up felt impossible, or at least I didn't have the tools to do so. I voted with my feet and left the company shortly after, as I could not tolerate that environment. However, that experience left a mark. It taught me that silence is a form of complicity. It made me realize that true allyship isn't passive. It requires the safety and courage to intervene in the moment, not just to leave after the damage is done.
For me, having allies helped me to get through challenging situations imposed due to something completely unrelated to my day-to-day work. For me, it simply reiterated that having allies that understood those challenges, whether it's recognizing the impact that negative behaviors can have, or even having lived through or observed the impact of those challenges themselves, can be the turning point for those experiencing challenges in the workplace. It opens up opportunities to everyone based on their skills and merits, not based on outdated and exclusive behaviors.
What do you think our industry could achieve if more men show up as visible, active allies?
A big part of cybersecurity is problem solving. And if you've got 10 people who look the same, think the same, have the same background and experiences trying to solve a problem, you're going to get the 10 same answers, which might not necessarily be the right one. So I think diversity in thinking, and that's, involves obviously giving women the space and the encouragement to become part of this industry and have their voices heard and contribute more, means we get a far more diverse set of solutions to our problems.
The short answer to this one is that it could make the tech industry a better place for everyone to work. I think the thing that I feel most strongly about allyship is that it's not a zero-sum game. If someone from a minority gets to feel more comfortable and welcome in the tech industry, it doesn't mean that someone in the majority feels less comfortable and unwelcome. And I really believe that. It's easy to look at it on a really small scale and think, if a woman gets that job, then a man has missed out. So that's plus one woman and minus one man, and I'm a man, so my opportunities have shrunk. But I don't think it works like that. And by lifting others up, it makes the tech industry a better place to work for everyone. Somewhere that anyone can have a long, varied and fulfilling career. and really honestly not only a better place to work but also an industry that does better work too.
I think we'd see faster progress and fewer retention issues, certainly a much healthier leadership pipeline. What we need to do is shift it from women fixing women's issues to a collective effort to fix industry issues. With more and more allies embedding these practices in the future, in the nicest sense, we wouldn't have a Women in Tech or diversity programme. It would just be the norm. It would just be embedded in how our teams operate on a daily basis. For me, the results are a stronger team, far more innovative products and workplaces where talent thrives because the environment is genuinely equitable and not simply aspirational.
Again, I often think this, but more brains are always better. Doesn't matter who the brain belongs to. More opinions and more inputs are generally for the best, especially when it comes to tech and big data. So, seeking to actively reduce exclusion within personnel, systems, and development, it can only lead to higher morale among staff, which is great, better conceived systems, and also more accessible technology and software for everybody. If more men showed up as visible allies, I'd hope this would make people aware of bias, obviously, be it overt, as in the previous example, or more subtle, making the tech industry a safer and more enjoyable place for everybody to work. But equally importantly, I believe it ensures the output from the technology industry is as unbiased and accessible as possible.
There is no reason why anyone couldn't get into tech. It has, in my opinion, it's a career with one of the lowest barriers to entry, especially with things like large language models, but with the proliferation of the internet and all the information that's out there, anyone can do it. And as I said earlier, that diversity of thought is a really crucial part of being able to do creative things with technology. So organizations like Cyber First are doing some really great stuff in this space with talking to young people at school about careers in tech and making it accessible and making it exciting and all of that good stuff. But I do think that, you know, more men showing up as allies is important, but it doesn't solve the underlying societal problem. It doesn't mean we shouldn't do anything about it. But I would hope that if all of these levers can kind of be pulled, then we'd end up with a tech industry that represents the people that are living in this country and further afield, and that can only be a good thing.
The benefits here are, you know, insane. It is so much good to be had here. If you think about the cybersecurity industry in particular, the threats that we see, you know, they do impact us all. You know, we can all be victims of cybercrime. So in terms of the defensive side, so working in cyber, why wouldn't you have a workforce which represents that, you know, a workforce which is made up of people from different backgrounds, you know, who have different mindsets, out of the box thinking, because that's kind of the only way I see us really tackling some of the deeper challenges we have in the tech and cyber industry. So there's so many benefits to this, and I just hope that we start to see more allies as the time goes on. And again, it should be part of our daily behaviors. It shouldn't be something which is a compliance task. You know, it's more, this is who you are. You are a male ally every day.